skilled workers of different types, from unskilled to skilled, highest level of skill, and so on. And I think Bangladesh can offer a lot and has been offering a lot in that front. So we have been very much engaged in that. On the trade front also, there is huge complementarity in the sense that we need energy, Saudi Arabia has that in large volume. We need investment, Saudi Arabia has the potential to invest in this country. We can export goods like textiles and other products which could be in use in Saudi Arabia in large quantities. So that could be a good market. What I see is that Saudi investment is, thankfully, I was also involved in the establishment of PIF, Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. During my tenure, when the petroleum prices went up from $20 to $60, we were sitting with the governor of Saudi Arabia and deciding that what do you do with the reserves, which was crossing 600 billion at that time. I'm talking about 2003, 2004. And it was decided that, well, let's keep $500-600 billion as reserve and the rest of the money set aside as an investment fund. And that's how the PIF was established at that time. And the PIF objective was that Saudi Arabia needs investment at home and also can place funds abroad. Unlike Norwegian fund, unlike fund for Kuwait or ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, which all I dealt with usually, the PIF was a little bit different in the sense that PIF mandate we had domestic investment as well as foreign investment. And that's a good mix because Saudi Arabia needed huge investment in infrastructure. Still it does in various forms. And the money could come from PIF. And it has served a very good purpose in that regard. It also serves in terms of investment abroad. What I noticed is that PIF has been investing in South Asia, in India in particular, quite a large number, but not yet in Bangladesh. So my humble suggestion will be that let the Saudi investment fund, Saudi private sector fund, and others come to Bangladesh as well. It should not be limited to, of course, I can imagine that in South Asia, India has the big conglomerates, hugely large corporate sector like Reliance or Adani or Tatas and so on, which we may not have that scale of size of operation here. But I think the Saudi government and the Saudi business sector should consider our entrepreneurs and our opportunities in Bangladesh in a much more positive way to invest in this country. Because in terms of the opportunities, in terms of the outlook for future, if you look at the Islamic world, I've just been visiting Istanbul last week on the Islamic Governors Conference. And the issue that came out is how do you do the cross-border investment issue? How do you do cross-border payment issues? With Saudi Arabia, we have a huge payment issue. Payment issue in the sense that the largest remittance comes from Saudi Arabia to Bangladesh. And that, so that is the biggest source of our remittance flow. But we need a more efficient transfer of funds. We need least cost solution to the transfer of funds. And these are the areas where financial sector can work together to reduce cost of transfer. And it will be win-win for both, particularly for the worker. Secondly, if you look at who are the large players here, the large players, if you come from west to east, it's Turkey, then Saudi Arabia, then Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. These are the large economies. Of that, Indonesia and Turkey are the $1 trillion economy. Saudi Arabia will become $1 trillion economy shortly if it has not done already. Bangladesh is $500 billion economy and marching towards the $1 trillion mark. So there are a lot of prospects in the region and in particular in Bangladesh to trade and investment activities to flourish in future. I think Bangladesh is a very, what I would say, resilient economy. Despite many shocks, natural, political, external, global shocks and so on, if you look at it, despite all those things, our growth rate has never fallen, never been negative in the last 30 years, 40 years. Be it global economic crisis, be it COVID, be it our own political disturbance, political changeover revolution, never it fallen below 3.5%, 4% level. That is the lowest, then it bounced back again. So this is a very resilient economy, a very dynamic economy. The private sector is the engine of growth and very efficient and as I said, resilient in coping with different types of shocks coming from anywhere. So this is a country where I would welcome the Saudis' investment to look at seriously. Take a long-term position. These investments are not for short-term things. We are not looking for portfolio investments and things. Leave it to the foreign Black Rocks and others. But what we're talking about is bilateral, greenfield, foreign direct investments in the country. Because that's where there are lots of opportunities. Saudi Arabia has the resources. It needs to invest the resources abroad, either through public funds or through private funds. Both has huge amount of resources, and they have big corporate houses which are looking for investment at home and abroad. And they should look at Bangladesh seriously in that regard. Come up with ideas also. And not only limited to the petroleum sector, we are doing it anyway. The relationship based on LNG or with purchase of petroleum products and fertilizers and so on, this is going to stay. This is a natural endowment of Saudi Arabia, and we will continue to use it as our economy expands, our needs expands, and so on. But beyond that, we need to attract investment from the Saudi public funds as well as private initiatives. So let me again express my sincere expectation that this forum that we have today gathered here is the beginning to build that long-term relationship between Bangladesh and Saudi Arabia at the people-to-people level, at the investor-to-investor level, business-to-business level. We want that to flourish. We have a very strong, warm political relationship, religious relationship, cultural relationship that goes back to thousands of years. There's no issue there. That will only continue to grow and stronger. But we need to build the areas where we have not been building. This is the economic relationship in terms of trade, finance, payment system, in terms of we have now the development of the labor market issues. There are issues there, always be there, but we can solve those out, make it our life of our workers a little bit better in Saudi Arabia, and so on. And we have also the obligation to provide with better skilled workers there so they can earn better and so on. So those issues are there. But more importantly, I would like to see this forum to play a proactive role in lobbying in Saudi Arabia and in Bangladesh to unlock the investment potentials that exist in Bangladesh and that can be exploited for the betterment of the two societies. So thank you very much. It has always been a pleasure to be back and talk on issues like Saudi Arabia, which is very close to my heart. I worked long years in there with the Saudi authorities. I had, with the change of government, most of them, and so there's so much opportunities. But unfortunately, when I look at bilateral relationship trade, it's very, very beyond that. And let the relationship flourish and exploit Bangladesh way for the benefit of both societies.